All right.
Okay, I'm going to share the link for this Google Slides. You don't have to use it if you don't want to, but you can follow along with me if you want. It's also the document that Adam sent has most of this in it. I just wanted it in a PowerPoint format because it's easier for me. Okay, so as I said, there's also a document. You've been sent it. It has all of the same stuff as this PowerPoint. So the first thing I want to talk about really quickly are what are choice boards, in case you don't know. They're graphic organizers that are set up with different options that allow students to pick different ways to learn about a topic, or you could also use them to have students demonstrate knowledge about a topic. Often choice boards are set up in a 3x3 grid, so that's going to allow 9 options like a tic-tac-toe board, but you really aren't limited to that. You can do whatever you want. You also don't have to do 9 options because that could feel like a lot. Maybe you just do 3 for the first time. Teachers can direct students to complete the choices in a certain order. So maybe you have them play tic-tac-toe, or maybe you're just like, I want you to do this many of the items. Sometimes I'll assign values to the tasks. So I'll be like, this is worth 25 points because it's a fairly easy one. This one is worth 50 points. And then I'll tell the students they have to earn a certain number, like 150 points total. So you can also arrange it that way. So why you should use them? It's really about student choice. When you let students do what they want, they kind of buy in a little bit more and they're more willing to do the activity, whatever it is. The format allows students to push their level of comfort by exploring new tools and tasks. So giving them lots of options gives them lots of different tasks to choose from. You can also prevent students from feeling overwhelmed by saying, here are the possible tech tools. You can also guide students to appropriate, meaningful means of demonstrating learning. And it's a chance to get them to move beyond Google Slides because that's kind of their go-to. So if you don't offer that as an option, they got to try something else. It also is going to allow you to emphasize skills rather than solely focusing on content, like just learning the content, but doing something with that content. So sources, honestly, Google. There are a ton of great templates out there. If you just Google choice boards, or keep in mind they are sometimes called the fancier term interactive learning menus. Googling either one of those are going to get you a ton of possible options. I put a couple, there's some tic-tac-toe style templates. I think there's like 9 of them on that link. And then Bethany created some skills-based templates. So some social studies examples. I'm only going to focus on mine. Bethany has another one on the document that you guys were sent. I think it's the last one there. Hers is a little bit more complex because she has a lot more tasks going on. This one, developmental choice board for psychology. This one was a couple weeks worth of an assignment. It wasn't like a one-day assignment for sure. This one is one of the ones where I was talking about where I assigned points to the different tasks and told them they had to earn a certain number of points by the end of the assignment. So the 25-point ones were easier. The 50-point ones were definitely more challenging assignments. They had to complete one activity in each color, but they could complete extras if they wanted to. This example is fairly recent. It's from AP Government this year. We had our students follow along with the presidential race by playing tic-tac-toe. So they had to watch a debate. They had to watch one of the caucus or primary results or Super Tuesday. This one, it worked out that we made sure that they definitely had to do a tic-tac-toe. That way everybody had to watch a debate because that was the harder of the assignments. It took longer. Although if they did the middle column, they would end up watching 3 debates. I actually had a couple kids do that. I was Surprised? And this is my most recent choice board. This is for my psychology class. It was called De-stressing in the Time of COVID. And it's set up like a bingo board, though I told them they didn't have to try to get bingo. It's just different de-stressing techniques based on positive psychology. And they're currently completing this week. And as I said, Bethany has another example on there as well. And her example shows that she uses it for learning the material. So you could assign students choices to learn the material, maybe a video, maybe a PowerPoint, maybe a reading, and they pick which one. And then she also has what tasks to demonstrate knowledge. So some tips to let you guys learn from the mistakes I've made in the past. My biggest tip is choice boards can be really overwhelming, especially if you have to create direction sheets to go with each of the choices, because that could end up being like 9 direction sheets. So when possible, try to split it up with your CTs. For example, the presidential race tic-tac-toe, I had the idea, but there's no way I would have been able to make all of the direction sheets on my own without Chris Irwin's help. So use your teammates. Also, if you have to work alone, maybe you only give 3 choices. You don't do like 9. Teamwork for students as well. So for the larger choice boards, you might want to allow students to work in small groups. Another option is allowing students to work on some of the tasks, the harder tasks, with a group, and maybe some of those simpler tasks you say, this is a solo one. So for my developmental choice board, that's exactly what I did. A couple of those assignments, if you look at it closer, I had them work. I said you could work with a partner or with a group of 3 or something like that. And then the easy ones or the simpler ones by themselves. Another tip is to pace out the work, realizing you're going to have to give time for feedback. You're going to have to make sure that you have check-in points. So don't think that you're going to be able to do it in just one class period or maybe even 1 week. You've got to pace it out. Another thing is to think carefully about what you want students to do. So what are your goals for students to know or for them to actually show you they know how to do? Design activities around those goals. Sometimes I get it in my head that I want to use this new technology, and then when I really think about it, it doesn't meet my goal for their learning. For example, if you want them to learn a concept, maybe you focus on here's a video, here's a Google slide, here's a reading that all cover the same material, and at the end have them answer really quick Google forms that no matter which of those tasks they did, they should be able to learn the material from. And then kind of my biggest tip is thinking through how are they going to turn in this assignment? Will you have a spot in the document for attaching their work? So are you going to have a spot that says attach your link here for whatever you created? Are you going to have them create a portfolio? So maybe you're going to have them create a Google site to turn in their work or a Google Slides. Take the time to show them exactly how to turn in their work. Don't think that they'll just get it. Actually show them. Which gets me to, if you're using Google Sites or Google Slides, make sure they know how to share their settings. So they're probably going to create some sort of document. And for every link they put in that document, they need to know how to change the share settings. And I know for most of us that seems really simple, but literally show your students how to do it. Just saying, don't forget to change the share settings. I've had students just stare at me blankly, and so make sure you take the time to actually show them. And let me see if I can get some of those examples up. So the reason I'm showing you this one is because this is one where I thought through how are they going to actually turn in their finished product. So I made this template. We did this around winter break, like right before winter break. So it's Christmas Eve. But showing them exactly, so they're going to insert their product here. They had to tell me how many points it was worth. They had to say the name of the project there and just spelling it out for them. And then they had to tell me the final points because they had to add up to, I think, 150, if I'm remembering this one correctly. Yeah. And this is one where I had to literally show them, change your share techniques, because they ended up making a whole bunch of different products and putting them in that PowerPoint. This one, in the direction sheets for this one, they were told they had to make a copy of whichever activity they were doing. So if they watched the New Hampshire debate, they would open this, make a copy, and then they would attach it onto Google Classroom. So attach their copy. And then this one that they're currently working on, they really just have to say, here is which activity I picked. So did they connect with others and participate in a 20-minute phone call? Okay, phone call. And then I wanted a selfie, or if that was not possible, a description of it, just to kind of prove that they did it. And then in class or in our live session, we're talking about what they did. So I think those are basically my big tips. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, Adam, that's all I have if people don't have questions for me.
All right. I mean, I think this is definitely something that, really got to kind of play with the concept a little bit and really see what works for you. Certainly the idea of the points and how do you translate the meaningful learning experiences with how much points they're all worth is something to consider. And yeah, I love the idea of teamwork and making it maybe a CT-wide-ish project and that kind of thing. So
I have a question for Heather. I didn't understand. This is Margaret Clark speaking. Thank you. I didn't understand the part about how you had them turn in the work. And you said that some people attached many, many products when you had one page to do it on. I didn't follow how you organized that. And I guess I'm not really that versed in how to, I constantly have a problem with work submitted through Google Classroom.
So that's where you have to think through it very carefully. I think the simplest way is probably my de-stressing one, where you're literally just on another page underneath your graphic organizer, you have a little, here's where you're going to put this, which activity, and here's your proof. But sometimes you have them actually like create something. So this is a very simple, like just take a picture of yourself doing an activity, because I'm trying to get the site kids to de-stress. But for example, like the presidential one, they had these documents that they were actually completing. So they would make a copy and then they would do the activity that it says. Well, I needed them to turn this into me. So what I chose was they would just make a copy and then attach that to Google Classroom, because I made an assignment there that said tic-tac-toe submission. But what I could have done is just like here, I could have put tic-tac-toe number 1, and then they would put a link to their copy here. And that's why
I don't see anything on my screen. You're talking, I think you're showing me, demonstrating, but I don't see anything.
If you go to people, and then at the very top, you should see So on Google Meet, when you click on people, there should be at the top me, and then you should see my presentation as well. Click on my presentation.
Now I see it. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, so what I was saying is attaching a box at the very end of the document where here's where you're going to turn stuff in. Here's assignment number 1, and then they would put their link to whatever they created. And that's why teaching them to change the share settings is so important. Does that
Okay. Yes, I still have to work on that.
Okay. Any other questions for me? You can also fill out the Google form that Adam created if you are going through this and you come up with questions later.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for being here. Heather, awesome job. Thank you for presenting to everyone today.
No problem.
And yeah, I'm actually curious to see some of the results. And, you know, certainly if you're playing around with this, I would love to be shared in when you're trying this out. And, you know, we'll go and see what you guys come up with.